Yeah, let's see. Yep, that is perfectly fine.
Sweet. Thank
All
you
right.
for being on today.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Like I said, we're filming right now, but I always have some time to, give advice for everyone out there. So taking a little break in the car right now.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's hot, that's why
it,
it's
you know what, it is, but we're working around a few things right now, but everyone's staying hydrated, everyone's staying cool, and I'd rather take this weather than snowing. So
oh, yeah.
yeah.
So what are you currently working on?
So I am working right now on a independent horror thriller zombie film called Shadowmere. Um, uh, you all can check it out on our Instagram at Shadowmere underscore movie on Instagram, and I believe it's the same thing on our Facebook. But we also have the link for all our stuff in our bio on Instagram. So I'm deciding to do just I want to step into a field of horror. I don't like watching horror movies because I get scared easily, but um, I was like, you know what? Let's try. Let's do something scary. Let's do something fun. And I have no regrets about it. It's really awesome. I have a great cast, and we're looking forward to releasing our trailer. So
Yeah, it's awesome, and I saw some of the pictures, they look so cool,
thank you, thank you.
and what inspired you to get into filmmaking?
So I'm not gonna lie, I kind of thought filming was a little bit stupid when I was younger. My friend Steve actually got me in. We started filming some comedy short films on the phones, and we made like stupid comedy stuff. And I ended up liking it, and it turned out to be something fun. And as I was going along through high school, I started, developing more of my interest in filming and, you know, just doing short films. I started off by doing a lot of VFX, like with the lightsabers and like cool effects, and um, I eventually was like, you know what, I'm gonna step up my game, and I'm gonna start making short films, and from short films turned into now feature length films. So I guess it was just kind of like an interest that came out of nowhere, and it was just like, hey, I like this, you know, a good detour that I made in my decisions in filmmaking. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely, and what do you look for when you're casting actors?
So when I am casting actors, okay, well, first of all, I always tell everyone, I tell my cast, be yourself. Don't change who you are. You know, um, I like looking for people who are very confident, who can get the job done. But most of all, the ones who are confident in themselves and the people who act themselves. I had dealt with a few people who we came across from, and they were really great, but that wasn't them. You know, they were so afraid of showing their true self, their true personality out. And I said, um, when you're doing filming, you have to love what you're doing. You can't go sidetrack and pretend you're somebody else. I mean, in acting, yes, that's what we do. We pretend to be somebody else, but you gotta love what you do and you gotta be yourself because if you are yourself, you will be able to. I don't know how to put it. I guess you can say if you're yourself, it's going to be easier for you to work alongside with a lot of people, with the director, with the other cast, instead of trying to be someone else who you aren't. And also with motivation and confidence level, if you're yourself, it's always amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I agree because I feel like the truth always comes out, and I feel like just having a fake personality is very hard to maintain because you're just lying to yourself, you're lying to everyone. So,
Right.
it's gonna come out the real you anyways.
Eventually it does. So
And how are you with social media? Does social media following really have an effect on whether or not you choose an actor?
honestly, no. I don't like it's great. It's always great having someone who has a good following and stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're really thinking about social media, you never should take that into an account because, like I said, it's I don't look for your social media first. I look at what you can do. You can have a great social media, but not be a good actor. It might not just be in your field. So social media, I always put last and behind. I always look at how you are when you're doing your casting, what your honestly, if you're in acting, your social media should be showing more of your acting reels, your self tapes, everything that to show like us that hey, you are good at what you do, you have potential, because anybody can just have like numbers in social media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for when it comes down to picking and when it comes down to, like, directing and, trying to do auditions, I do not look at that right away. I always look at how they do in the film because at the end of the day, we need you to get the job done, So, I'm sorry, you know, I'm not used to doing I'm sorry, auditions. I'm not used to doing, interviews so much, sometimes it just I'm like, "Oh, what are the right words to say?"
I mean, it's all
So
like, it's all free here. Freedom of
so,
expression over here, and I
right.
feel like it's just I agree because I feel like a lot of times people I feel like they just put stuff out there to get views,
Mhm.
but it's not really showing, talent or not really showing who they are. It's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna be, almost silly or follow like a TikTok dance trend," and it's not really,
I
me.
mean, some things are meant for you, like, some medias are meant for you, some medias are not meant for filming, you know what I mean? Like, not medias, but more so say the things you do, you can't we can't look at your social media because it's like a job, you know what I mean? Why would they look at your social media? Yeah, they can try basing it to see what type of person you are, but you can't you can't we can't rely on social media for oh, is this person a good actor or not? Just because of the numbers they have. You know what I mean? We don't want to look at people as numbers. We want to look at people as who they are and how they perform in that job.
Definitely, because I feel like now it's just I don't know, it's, like, hard to know who's actually being real online or if they're, just going on a website where they could, buy their likes, buy their, everything, followers. So it's really hard, and I really love your point on that, just not looking at people as a number, just seeing what they actually bring to the table and
That we want to look at people, what they can bring to the table, what they can do. It always benefits the whole group. We don't look at it as one thing. We look at it as a group.
yeah, definitely. So, what's your favorite thing about being a director? Because I know you're directing a few well, yeah, or you already directed a few things, I think, and then
Yeah, I've done a few things. You know what? I've been directing for a while, and the things that I have to admit is the best thing is as a director, we're supposed to take all the pieces to the puzzle and make sure those pieces go on correctly and come out the best way. Whether you're, having somebody else come to you and say, "Hey, I have a story. Can you help me put it together?" Or if it's like your own film, like what I wrote, with Shadowmere, I have to make sure that, as a director, I have to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing and to make sure that footage or what my story or I'm sorry, to make sure that my story comes out to the way I want it to look. I think that's the best part. There's a lot of work behind it, but it's the fact that when you can go to the movie theater and have your premiere and you're watching it, whether it's in the theater or on the small screens at home or on the internet, you get like this kind of like happiness saying, I completed this. It's just like, you put something together and all that hard work finally is being shown out there. That's probably the best part, what I mean, of being a director. You're gonna go through a lot of bumps in the road, but at the end of the day, you stick with it, you get the job done, and I'm telling you, it's like the greatest feeling ever. Even for actors, I know some say I put so much work in this, and now I can finally go out here and watch it, or even if it's not on the premiere on a big screen, but like at home, just the fact that they get to be like, oh my gosh, that's me. That's me out there. I actually did that. It brings a lot of joy because you're not just making yourself happy, you're making everyone else happy. Everyone who put their time and effort into it, everyone who donated and helped fund your stuff, they get happy. They're like, wow, this came out the way it came out, and it looked amazing. So I would say that's the best part about directing.
Definitely, because I feel like, especially some people can't go to a theater because of certain like, if they have to, stay at home for certain reasons, they could
Mm,
see a film for, from wherever. And even like as we get older, I feel like just having that, film, you could look back, when you're older, see how far you
yep,
came.
yep.
The theater, you can't
So
really do it.
yeah, it's always great because you can always show your kids down the line, or you can show family, or you can always look back. The great thing about my directing, about that is also picking up on your mistakes, and you have to remember failure is your friend. Without failure, you will never get better. I have so many different films that I have failed versus, films that I actually have been successful in. And it's no one's fault. It's just you getting better. That's all what it is. And every time you take that failure and you learn from it, you step up your game. And so with this result, like I look at Shadowmere and I said, all the past films that I've done, I'm like, man, I should have done this, I should have done this, I should have done this better. So now all those notes that are coming together when I film Shadowmere, it's looking amazing. And I tell people this is amazing. A lot of people come up, they're like, Keith, wow, you really changed. Your work is much better, it's more professional, it looks clean, it looks amazing. And it's just because those failures. It's not because you didn't have the right equipment. Sometimes it comes to that, but the main thing is your failure. Because like I said, again, money, sometimes you might not have the money or the budget to get really expensive things, but it's not the camera, it's not the equipment, it's the person running the show who can make it look good. You can always push your potential as far as that person wants to go. So that's how I look at things like that. But for directing, yeah, that's probably the best moment for me is just seeing the final product and being proud of what you did.
Oh yeah, because I feel like it's, just having everything come together perfectly, the actors working well together, or sometimes it's just
Mhm.
I hear stories about like sometimes even during like filming someone moves out of town so they have to recast
That gets hard. It gets hard.
because it
But
happens. Yeah.
you gotta that's the part of the director. You got to be ready for different changes in your game. You have to. It's like a game of chess. You always got to be one step ahead. You got to be prepared. You know what I mean? And it goes from everything starts from up top, and it makes it down from your from up top from the directors to the production assistants, your assistant director, and it makes all the way down. Everyone has to be ready to go because if you're not good or not ready as a director, a lot of things will crumble down. So it's always good just, making sure you're always prepared for any situation that can affect the film if you're trying to make sure it gets out when it needs to get out or just to get it completed.
Oh yeah, definitely. And if you are comfortable sharing, what's like the biggest challenge on being on set?
There's a lot of challenges. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of challenges. So you're saying on set. So like explain more like what you mean like on set challenges.
Like
Like
getting everyone together or just
okay,
bring
so for me, I don't have a big crew. For Shadow Mirrors, I'm behind the camera sometimes. Sometimes, I have to direct, I have to be behind the camera. I have to run lighting, I have to do certain things. And, I know we discussed this before, like on, another time, we can do another video and show everyone how to be kind of self-proficient, on running your own film because sometimes you just don't have the bodies to do it. You don't have the people, to be able to come over and help you do things, either work or, they don't have time or, you want to get professional people, but it costs money. You know what I mean? And sometimes you don't have that. I think the biggest challenge is I think that's what it is. Trying to run everything sometimes on your own on days where you can't. You know what I mean? With Shadowmere, I'm grateful I was able to have, I have a good crew who's willing to help and jump in a spot where I need them to. And it's amazing when you get that because you just have to be grateful because not a lot of sets are can have that or not even can have, but have the opportunity to have people who want to, put their time in to help volunteer for a bigger picture. That's probably my biggest challenge on set, getting people together. I don't think that's an issue. If you have something good to bring to the table and you're professional about it and you're straightforward with everybody, you should not have an issue bringing people in and getting them all situated, because at the end of the day, you got to think, these actors are putting their time. If they're not, making any money or off this, and they're just doing this for credit and real, you got to think they're putting their time and effort into helping you. So you need to make sure that you follow through and make that work the best you can and put 150% on that field, so that when you're done, everyone can be like, okay, cool, this wasn't a waste of my time. You get where I'm coming from with that? Yeah, so that's my biggest thing, because like there's nothing wrong with, like I said, the biggest challenge is when people are like, "Hey Keith, I don't have a budget, but I want people in, and how do I go about it?" I said, "Yeah, you can go about making films on a low budget. You can. You just gotta, do your research. YouTube is out there. There are so many YouTubers out there who give you examples on how to be self-efficient in filming on a really, really low budget."